The night sky above the sacred Varanasi Ghats was ablaze. Panic gripped the hearts of the people. Screams tore through the air, a symphony of terror echoing through the ancient city. From the heart of the inferno, a figure emerged. His eyes blazed like twin suns, radiating an infernal light. This was Agnidot, a being of pure fire, a harbinger of chaos unleashed by the malevolent Kalasadak. Aditya felt the searing heat of the flames on his skin, but his gaze never wavered. He focused on the fiery figure of Agnidot, his expression a mask of grim determination.
"Aditya," she called out, her voice barely audible above the roar of the flames. "He is too strong! We have to stop him!"
Aditya met her gaze, a silent acknowledgement of her fear and her plea. He raised his Trishul, the celestial weapon humming with an inner light, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. He would face Agnidot. He would face the fire. With a deep breath, Aditya channeled his inner strength, his resolve hardening like steel. Agnidot threw back his head and laughed, the sound like the crackling of 1,000 burning trees. "You dare challenge me, Amrityoda?" he roared. Aditya stood his ground, the blue light of the Trishul intensifying, a beacon of defiance. With a flick of his wrist, Aditya unleashed the power of the Trishul. A wave of pure, cleansing energy erupted from the tip, meeting the fire vortex head-on. The air crackled with raw power as the two forces collided, a blinding explosion of light and heat. Avani watched with bated breath, her heart pounding. The fate of Varanasi hung in the balance. Aditya gritted his teeth, his muscles straining with the effort of controlling the immense power. He could feel the heat of the flames on his skin, but he would not yield. He lunged forward, a blur of fire and fury. Aditya met his attack head-on, the Trishul a silver blur in the heart of the inferno. Their weapons clashed, a deafening clang of metal against searing heat. Aditya fought with the skill and precision of a seasoned warrior. But Agnidot was relentless, his attacks fueled by the very flames that danced around him. Still, Aditya fought on, his determination unwavering, his spirit unyielding. Agnidot, surprised by the force of Aditya's counterattack, snarled. "You are stronger than I anticipated, Amrityoda," he hissed. "You dare defy me, feel the full extent of my wrath." Agnidot, enraged by Aditya's resilience, let out a roar that shook the very foundations of the city. He raised both hands, and the flames around him surged, coalescing into a gigantic wave of fire. Aditya knew he couldn't withstand such an attack head-on. He had to find a way to deflect it, to redirect its power. He closed his eyes, focusing his mind, channeling the celestial energy of the Trishul. He remembered the words of his guru, whispered long ago in the stillness of the mountains. Water, his guru had said, is the antithesis of fire. Panic surged through the crowd as Agnidot unleashed his fury. The massive wave of fire bore down on Aditya, a terrifying wall of heat and destruction. I can't stop it with brute force alone. The heat washed over him, a suffocating blanket that threatened to consume him entirely. He could feel the sweat evaporating from his skin, his lungs burning with each shallow breath. But still, he stood his ground.
"Aditya!" she screamed, her voice lost in the roar of the flames.
Through the inferno, Aditya could see the fear in Avani's eyes, hear the terror in the screams of the fleeing crowd. Closing his eyes, Aditya focused inward, seeking the source of his power, the celestial energy that flowed through him. He remembered his guru's words. The Amrit Jyoti is not just a power, Aditya. It is a responsibility. He could feel the Amrit Jyoti within him, a dormant volcano waiting to erupt. He had only tapped into a fraction of its true potential. He envisioned a cool, refreshing spring, its waters cascading down a mountainside. The Trishul in his hands pulsed with renewed energy, its blue light intensifying. Opening his eyes, Aditya raised the Trishul high above his head, his voice ringing out, clear and strong. अग्निधूत, तुम अग्नि पर अधिकार का दावा करते हो, लेकिन तुम भूल जाते हो कि अग्नि भी एक महान शक्ति के सामने झुकती है. With a surge of will, Aditya channeled the Amrit Jyoti through the Trishul. A torrent of water erupted from the ground around him, a geyser of pure, life-giving energy that met the inferno head-on. The flames roared and hissed, battling against the encroaching water. Asambhav, yeh kaun sa jadoo hai? Agnidot staggered back, his eyes wide with disbelief and rage. Aditya stood tall, the Trishul held high, his body wreathed in a halo of blue light. A wave of awe and relief washed over Avani. The torrent of water, summoned by Aditya's will, surged around him, a shimmering dome of protection.
यह अद्भुत है आदित्य, तुमने हमें बचा लिया.
Aditya stood at the heart of the maelstrom, his body radiating a brilliant blue light. Agnidot, consumed by his own arrogance, had underestimated the Amrityoda. He had mistaken Aditya's reliance on the Trishul's physical prowess for weakness. The crowd, moments from succumbing to despair, erupted in cheers. Their fear gave way to hope, their despair replaced by a renewed belief in their champion. With a final surge of power, Aditya directed the torrent of water towards Agnidot.
नहीं, यह नहीं हो सकता.
Agnidot roared in defiance, his voice a mix of rage and fear, but his struggles were futile. The water enveloped him, a suffocating embrace that stripped away his power. His fiery form flickered, dimmed, and with a final, ear-splitting shriek, Agnidot was extinguished. Aditya stood tall, the Trishul still glowing softly in his hand, his chest heaving with exertion. He had faced the fire and emerged victorious. High above the Varanasi Ghats, hidden within a secluded mountain fortress, Kalasadak felt a surge of rage. The bond he shared with his creation, Agnidot, had been severed. Amrityuda, you dare defy me again and again, but your interference will not go unpunished. I will unleash a power that will consume you, your precious city, and all that you hold dear. He slammed his fist against his throne, the ancient stone cracking under the force of his fury. Prepare the Mrityujal! This time even the Amrityuda will not be able to withstand my wrath! A palpable sense of dread filled the chamber. The silence that descended upon the Varanasi Ghats was almost as profound as the inferno that had raged just moments before. We did it, Arni. We faced the fire together. He lowered the Trishul, the celestial weapon's blue light fading. A wave of exhaustion washed over him, the price of wielding such immense energy.
Aditya, she breathed, her voice trembling with emotion. You did it. You defeated him.
Around him, the people of Varanasi stirred, slowly emerging from their shelters. They had faced their fear, stared into the abyss of destruction, and emerged stronger. Avani rushed to Aditya's side, her eyes shining with unshed tears, her heart overflowing with relief and gratitude. High above the celebrations, shrouded in the swirling mists that clung to the peaks of the Himalayas, Kalasadak seethed. The loss of Agnidot, a being crafted from the heart of a dying sun, stung more than a mere setback. It was a personal affront, a challenge to his authority, his power. He could feel the whispers of doubt snake through his ranks, the fear in the eyes of his lieutenants a testament to the growing unease that followed each of Aditya's victories. I underestimated the Amrityuda. He is not a mere mortal playing at being a hero. He is a force of nature, a conduit for a power far older, far greater than anything I have ever encountered. He had underestimated the Amrityuda, dismissed him as a mere nuisance, a fleeting obstacle in his path to ultimate power. But now, he saw the truth reflected in the flickering light of the distant flames that illuminated the Varanasi Ghats. And fear, cold and insidious, began to gnaw at the edges of his rage. Fear of the unknown, of the boundless potential that resided within the Amrityuda. Fear of failure. But fear is a weakness, a vulnerability I cannot afford to indulge. I will not be cowed, not while I still draw breath, not while the power to reshape the world still courses through my veins. I will crush the Amrityuda, break him, scatter his essence to the winds. I will prove my dominance, establish my rule over a world trembling on the precipice of chaos. He turned from the distant glow of the Varanasi Ghats, his gaze hardening, his resolve solidifying. He would unleash a power unlike anything the world had ever seen, a force of pure destruction that would obliterate the Amrityuda and leave his enemies cowering in the ashes of their shattered dreams. Back in Varanasi, the celebrations continued, the joy of survival tinged with the somber knowledge that the battle was far from over. The defeat of Agnidot was a victory, but it was only a single battle in a war that had raged for centuries, a war between light and darkness, between order and chaos, between those who sought to protect life and those who sought to control it. Aditya, surrounded by the grateful citizens of Varanasi, couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled over him. The victory felt too easy, too clean. Kalasadak is not one to be easily defeated. He is a master strategist, a manipulator of shadows, a weaver of chaos. The attack on Varanasi was a distraction, a test of my strength, a way to gauge the true extent of the Amrityodha's power. He looked towards the north, towards the towering peaks of the Himalayas, shrouded in darkness, their snow-capped summits lost in a swirling mass of storm clouds. He could feel it, a disturbance in the air, a tremor in the very fabric of reality, a harbinger of a power far greater, far more terrifying than anything he had ever encountered. The Mrityudal, the whispers of ancient prophecies echoed in his mind, tales of a weapon so powerful, so destructive, that it could unravel the very threads of existence, leaving nothing but a desolate void in its wake. A weapon that even the Amrityodha might not be able to withstand. The weight of the responsibility he carried settled on his shoulders, heavier than ever before. He had saved Varanasi, but the true battle, the fight for the fate of the world, was about to begin. And he, Aditya, the Amrityodha, would stand at the center of the storm, the last bastion of hope against the encroaching darkness.